Hi, welcome to the PS Pod, episode 9. I'm Jeremy Schuback, and in this lesson we're going to be talking about taking an image from the scanner that's too big for the scanner and making it work as a single image. So as you can see right here, I've scanned an image that was about 15 inches by 20 inches into my little 8.5 by 11 scanner bed. So I've got the left side and I've got the right side right here. And the question is how to combine this into a single image. Now, there's two ways to go about it. Well, there's many ways to go about this. There's two ways I'm going to show you how to do it, the easy way and the hard way. Now stick with me for the hard way because the lessons that I'm going to be teaching in it cover a bunch of basic tools that will become very useful when we're doing things that the easy way doesn't work for later on. Alright, so there's a couple of things we're going to have to do. We're going to need to rotate this, we're going to need to bring it into the same image, we're going to need to increase the canvas size, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to show you how to do it right now. Alright, so first things first, how do you rotate this image so it's at the same rotation bit as the other one? The way to do that, the way I'm going to show you how to do that is old-fashioned way that Photoshop has since replaced with half a dozen other more intuitive ways, but what's good about this way is that it works. Unlike some of the other ways, this one, regardless of like wanting Photoshop to do something for you magically, it always works. The reason I just pressed through all of these tools is because in CS5, this tool was in a slightly different place. And you know what? It's in a slightly more intuitive place in the tools palette. So I'm going to hit ruler tool right here. One thing to note about the tools palette is that you might have it like this. So your buttons might be in a slightly different place. I just hit this button to keep it in the old-fashioned way. The honest truth is I'm actually normally just using the keyboard shortcuts, so I've forgotten where all of the tools are in the actual palette. Alright, so we're going to go to the ruler, and what we're going to do with it, all you need to know with the ruler is you can click and drag, I'm just clicking and dragging, and you can draw a straight line. You don't need to know all of the fancy things that happen in the info tablet, the info window when you do that. After going to the ruler tool and clicking and dragging a straight line, you can then go into image rotation, arbitrary. So this lets you, the image rotation submenu lets you rotate it 180 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees counterclockwise, flip canvas, all the stuff that it says, very straightforward. The one interesting thing in this palette is what I'm showing you right here. If you first use the ruler tool and click and drag, and then go into image rotation, arbitrary, it gets the angle of the line you just drew, and when you press OK, it rotates it by that amount. So it basically sees, oh, this line is at a 6-degree angle, I'm going to make it so it's at a 0-degree angle, and fixes your image that way. Alright, so I'm going to go to the Move tool and just click and drag it so we now have these both in the same image. Alright, they're still not quite working together as much as I'd hope. So there's a couple of problems. First, there's this blue bit over here, which isn't so great. So I'm going to simply use the wand tool, which isn't the lasso. Wow, it's a different thing in CS5. This is really interesting. They have quick selection as the main thing and wand tool as the secondary tool, which makes sense because quick selection is a better tool. But we're just going to select a simple color. I'm going to press delete. That's mouse poses showing delete, this little thing right here. If I press different keys, it shows you. It's very cool. Okay, I'm going to go back to the wand tool and I'm going to press Control D to deselect. Go back to the Move tool, which again, you can either press on this, hold up, my cell phone's ringing. You're going to have to excuse that. I should have turned it off before starting this interview. Interview? Tutorial? Whatever this is. Alright, I could press here to use the Move tool, or I'll just press V, because I already taught you that in a previous lesson. If you haven't seen the previous lessons, by the way, do go ahead and watch those, because this tutorial will probably go a little bit too fast if you haven't seen them yet. So right now all I'm doing is just going around and pressing Control D to deselect, pressing V to switch to the Move tool. These are all things that I've shown you in the past, and I'm just showing you it in a new context because it's been about 1.5 years since I did episode 8. And you know what? I grew rusty with doing the tutorials, and I'm guessing you grew rusty with Photoshop. Or maybe you just saw the other tutorial 5 minutes ago, and time is strange on the internet. Anyhow, first thing we need to do, or third thing we need to do, is we need to increase the canvas size so it can fit both of these images. That's located in Image. Excuse me. That's located, I know the shortcut key, I could just press this and it's there. But I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way because I'm nice. It's located in Image Canvas Size, which is this. And what you can do here is you can increase the canvas size in any direction. So I wanted to increase it to the right, so I'm going to give it a width of, let's say, 5 inches. Why not? Press OK. And then press Control-0 so I can see the whole screen. And that didn't quite go how I wanted. There's still a bit to the left, and I only wanted to increase it to the right. So let's fix that. I'm going to press Undo, and then I'm going to go into my History palette, so I can press Undo again. Bam. And I just said bam. I don't feel proud of that moment. All right, go back to canvas size, press 5 inches again, and then click here. And this makes it so it only increases to the right, to the top, to the left, to the bottom. If I were to click here, it would increase it to the left. If I were to click here, it would increase it to the bottom. I think you get it. All right, so I'm going to press OK now, and you can see that now it only increases it to the right, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to drag this and try to more or less line it up. All right, so that is more or less lined up right there. All right, but it's not perfectly lined up. It's like kind of lined up. So in order to get it completely lined up, I'm going to open up my Layers palette. I'm going to bring the opacity of this layer down to 50%, and then I'm going to zoom in. Z is zoom. Just going to, whoa, CS5 is different again. It used to be that if you clicked and dragged, it would go into a segment, but with this OpenGL rendering, if you click and hold, it just zooms in. Very interesting. All right, I'm going to move back into the Move tool and just use the arrow keys to nudge this into place. Now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing 2 layers. First, it's the background layer, and then it's the layer above it at 50%. So the idea is to make it so both of these match perfectly. So it was at around here, and just using the nudge tools, just nudge, 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 pressing the up arrow, the nudge tools, the arrows. That was a fancy name for the arrows. You can see that it is now perfectly aligned. Instead of having any fuzziness that we're seeing right there, it is perfectly aligned. So if I go to see the full screen by pressing Control-0, and then bring the opacity of this top layer up to 100%, you can now see that they match up. Now I could do a bunch of fancy things to merge these two together. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to Eraser. I am going to increase the size of the eraser. I've already covered the brush tool, so I could right-click and increase the size. We're fancier than that. I'm going to use the square bracket key and increase the size that way, and then also decrease the hardness so it has a nice soft edge, and just roll this across. So I'm betting you have no idea what just happened there, and it just magically combined, because I wouldn't have known what happened. What happened if I don't explain it? All I'm doing right there is I'm taking the eraser, and with an edge that's, pretty decently sized and soft, I'm just rubbing it against the side of one of the images so you get a nice fade. Remember, if the eraser was, and then if you turn on the back layer, it looks like this. So it all matches into one image. There's a couple more things that we want to do. We want to combine these 2 layers into one, and I'm going to do that. If you look right here, at this this area, there's a button, and one of the options here is Flatten Image, and that allows you to combine all the layers into a single flat thing, so you don't need to worry about the layers anymore. So I'm going to flatten them together. So instead of having those 2 layers, it's just a background, and so now we have a single image. One last problem to deal with. There's this border right here. It has a kind of a nice edge, but I want to get rid of it. So we're going to use the crop tool to do that. The crop tool is located right here. And what you do is you click and drag. Clicking and dragging. You press enter. And that's the image you're left with.